The world's largest vaccination drive is taking place with over 2 billion people vaccinated around the world. It's a moment of cheer for you, but just for a moment really, as the second wave of the virus seems to be catching up fast. And as Gen Z would agree, modern problems require modern solutions. In a bid to secure the economic revival and curb the spread of the virus, governments across the world have been forced to find a midway. As another lockdown would sink the worst hit sectors of travel and tourism even before they could see a bout of revival from the earlier slump, and hence the talk of a vaccine passport has been floated around. So let's understand, what is a vaccine passport? With US President Joe Biden's administration kickstarting work on a program that would allow people to prove that they have received the vaccination before entering venues that have been closed during the pandemic, such as offices or movie theaters. The vaccine passports have been widely touted around the world as a way of reigniting the commercial industries. These passports will be required for entry into sports arenas, music venues or restaurants, or to travel internationally. The passports will take the form of a scannable code displayed on smartphones, while users without smartphones will be able to print their codes onto paper. In fact, New York has already announced an app called the Elixir Pass, which will allow users to prove that they've been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or have recently tested negative. However, with the US definitely not the first one to start the vaccine passport, Biden's announcement has come weeks after EU's First Lady Chief, Ursula von der Leyen, announced that the EU's vaccine passport, officially called Digital Green Certificate, will be used to facilitate safe and free movement inside the EU. The Digital Green Certificate will serve as an assurance that a person has been vaccinated against COVID-19, received a negative test result, or recovered from COVID-19, exactly like the passport. It will be available free of charge in digital or paper format and will include a QR code to ensure the security and authenticity of the certificate. The Digital Green Certificate will comprise 3 distinct certificates. Vaccination certificates stating the brand of the vaccine used, the data and the place of inoculation, as well as the number of doses administered. Negative test certificates, either an NAAT or RT-PCR test or rapid antigen test. Self-tests will be excluded. And medical certificates for people who have recovered from COVID-19 in the last 180 days. And yet, the EU still isn't the first one to come up with the idea of vaccine passports. One of the first countries to issue a document was Israel, which by far is the country that has managed to vaccinate the highest percentage of the population of any country. Israel has issued an app that shows the vaccination status of the individual. The green pass holders get non-restricted access to gyms, hotels, theaters, and concerts, etc. However, the idea of a vaccine passport has received its fair share of criticism and opposition too. So let's take a look at the pros and cons. A big pro of having the vaccine passport will be for travel and tourism. It's going to help the revival of the industry, protect it from any slump, as vaccinated beneficiaries can travel all over. However, human rights activists have expressed that this could potentially divide the global rich from the global poor. Once economies start to open and those with the vaccine passports are able to go about their business as usual, the urgency to deal with the COVID-19 in marginalized communities may dissipate. Further, vaccination passports may give populations an inaccurate level of risk perception. It's still unclear how long the immunity will last. It's also unclear as to what the extent is to which the virus transmission is limited once you're vaccinated. Public health authorities still suggest that vaccinated individuals need to wear masks and maintain social distancing, especially if interacting with unvaccinated people. These recommendations have led to concerns that vaccinated tourists and diners or shoppers may act in ways that might risk the unvaccinated service and hospitality employees with whom they're interacting. Then there's also privacy concerns with the vaccine passports, which are primarily being proposed in a digital format. In the UK, the proposed vaccine certification would come up in the form of an app, which would be scanned to gain entry to restaurants and venues. It has sparked concerns that digital passports may infringe on the rights to privacy, freedom of movement, and peaceful assembly. Despite the upside of the vaccine passport, these concerns remain. The WHO has called on nations to make sure that if implemented, vaccine passports are not responsible for increasing health inequities or increasing the digital divide. The danger at every stage has been exposed by the pandemic, which show the society's inequities. Vaccine passports may perpetuate these inequities as well. Meanwhile, in India, unlike the UK, US, or EU, the government has not hinted towards the idea of a vaccine passport as yet. But with the second wave gripping so tight, what do you think? Should a vaccine passport come about in India and globally? Tell us with a yay or a nay.